would like to introduce one of Greg's very best friends, Barry.
The Energizer Bunny was perfect. Even this song, morning, noon, or midnight, he was always in motion. Always. And those that are here, we are his treasure. Because where a man's heart is, there you will find his treasure also. He did not know a stranger. It was just a friend he hadn't met yet. And within that short moment of meeting them, they quickly moved from friend to family. We were all his family because of his selflessness and unrelenting passion to get to the next thing. I truly am here because I am selfish in my desire to know how is such a man possible to walk amongst us, because there was nothing he couldn't do. Nothing. He could sit at a piano and play the most beautiful song in the middle of us working on a kitchen. I'm like, where did this even come from? And then his understanding of antiquities, of music, of literature, it didn't matter. There was no mountain too steep for him to climb. And just a passion to do it. You know, it's like, when my wife and I were going through the introduction to parenting through our 3-year-old and 4-year-old, we thought it would be a great idea to add to our activities by teaching a Sunday school class. It was a 3-year-old class. And so I'm thinking, we had subbed several times in advance of, and we knew what we were committing to because we had done it before. But this was different. This was going to be our class. And so for 3 weeks I prepared. I knew what we were going to do, and I'm like, we are going to sow into these young lives. We are going to make such a difference one Sunday at a time in their lives. Mark Twain says, in order to be successful, all you need is ignorance and determination. And since I seem to be blessed with a double portion of both of those, as we were walking out from that first Sunday to the car, I had tears literally rolling down my cheek. And Annie looked at me and she's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, I'm such an idiot. I thought I was going to sow into them. There was 12 of them and one of me. 3-year-olds. They kicked my butt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 2 of them weren't there. What are they going to do to me next week? But that's how Greg was. He was sneaky with the fact that he was truly a Renaissance man. A Renaissance man because of the depth of his knowledge and passion for it. You know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but that's just a static image. So how can we take what represents his life and even come remotely close enough to capturing it with words? It isn't possible. To prove that point, I want to do just a quick reading. You know, when these 3 weeks, I've reflected on where did it come from? Where was this? How did you get to this place in his life with being so passionate? And there was I've read a lot of different things, but Ralph Waldo Emerson, when he talks about nature, it so captured me in the inspiration behind it, because I know Greg. He had talked to God. He told me some of the stories from his youth, and I know that he was connected to the source of the universe by the passion that he had for the way that he lived. Let me just read just a little bit of Emerson to get a sense maybe of where he was coming from. With reference to nature, a noble want of man is served by nature, namely the love of beauty. The ancient Greeks called the world cosmos, beauty. Such is the constitution of all things, that the primary forms as the sky, the mountain, the tree, the animal, give us a delight in and for themselves, a pleasure arising from outline, color, motion, and grouping. This seems partly owing to the eye itself. The eye is the best of artists, and as the eye is the best composer, so light is the first of painters. But besides this general grace diffused over nature, almost all the individual forms are agreeable to the eye, as it is proved by our endless imitation of some of those, as the acorn, the grape, the pine cone, the lion's claw, the serpent, the butterfly, seashells, flames, clouds, buds, leaves, even pine straw. Most birds. The simple perception of these forms is a delight and medicinal in their ability to restore. And that doesn't even come close. But yet, it is kind of a glimpse. I can see Greg at the river house watching the sun come up and the sun go down, as his glimpse and drawing strength from that nature to go forwards each and every day. Each and every day. That was kind of where the knowledge of the passion, and back to the picture being worth 1,000 words. I could sum him up the best through 12. God is great. God is good. God loved Greg. And Greg allowed that love to flow through him to us without holding anything back for himself. He was a vessel that was poured into that then could pour out more than was placed in it. And that's why we're here.
Thank you.
That is why we're here.
Thank you.
The big one, what I'd like to say is, where a man's heart is, there you will find his treasure also. The reverse of that works as well. Where a man's treasure is, there you will find his heart. So Greg's heart is still contained within us, the treasure. His earthly body is past, but his spirit is within us, who he has placed that most precious gift.
Thank you, Barry. That was
Yep.
lovely. Thank you. Thank you.
I look forward to hearing others.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So, I'm Kevin. I've been friends and part of this family for about 26, 27 years now. I'm part of the Taylor family, and anytime you're part of the Taylor family, you're part of Greg's family as well too. So there's just two things that I want to share. Is one of the things that Greg and I enjoyed was that I grew up in Hayhira, Georgia, just a small little podunk town north of Valdosta. And the Halls were from Georgia, from Hayhira as well too. So we love that little uniqueness that we were able to share. And when he was there in Hayhira at my mom and my sister's funeral, it was just always special that we were there in Hayhira together. But the other thing I want to share about Greg is that in one of those trips, in my house, always growing up, there was this rocking chair, probably from the 30s or 20s, just this big, wide hip for a big butt, you know, to sit in this rocking chair. And it was in our family always, and in this home always, because that was the rocking chair that my mom rocked all of us 4 babies in all these years. And in all these years, there were cracks that happened here and cracks that happened there. And I knew that chair would be in my life for the rest of my life, and it was just in one of those trips, and we were talking about it. Greg says, well, Kevin, I can go and take care and I can fix that for you. And he did. They loaded it up, he took it, and probably 3-6 months later, the chair comes back. And the beauty of it was, when that chair came back, my mom was there as well also. When he brought it back, of course, in Greg's way, it was absolutely perfect. It wasn't perfect like when it was created, probably in the 30s, but it was perfect because it still had that patina. It still showed those years of my mother rocking us in that chair that will be in that chair forever. He didn't want it perfect. He wanted it perfect for what it meant in all those years. So that will be with me, and that piece of Greg and so many other pieces of Greg will be with me for the rest of my life. Barry, Lisa, Albert, what an amazing, beautiful tribute, and nothing more can be said to say really what truly the person Greg was. But when Al called me that day, I knew that for me, I lost one of the gentlest, kindest person I have ever met in my life. And that says a lot. I met a lot of people, but there was nobody more gentler and more kinder than Greg Hall. And he will be missed, and he will be loved forever.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Kevin, for those lovely words, and so appropriate. We have time for maybe one more short tribute, if you will. Thank you.
Hello, I'm
I'm Lynn Wise, and I have the good fortune to be on Swan Lane when Warren and Greg moved in. And, you know, you go to services and people say all these wonderful things about the departed, some of which are true. But this is the only time it's really, really true. Greg had some sort of aura that you couldn't see, but you could feel it. And like everybody, he was so incredibly kind. My kitchen window in our corner house faced out at the end of the street, and that red car would be zipping down Swan Lane, taking the corner. And I was thinking when I saw these pictures of him without a hat, I don't know if I ever saw him without that baseball cap.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's hard to find people who are neighbors, real neighbors, like we all grew up with. But Warren and Greg were those people for me until I moved away. And I'm very, very happy to be here because I just wanted to pay a little tribute to a wonderful, wonderful human being that you all love too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Raja.
Hi, my name's Rasha Jabran. Greg was a dear friend of mine. Sometimes we meet people in our life for a reason, a season, or a lesson. Greg helped me when I was grieving the loss of my mother. He was so trustworthy and so very compassionate. He was the best listener and gave the best advice. He had a heart of gold. I love you, Greg, and I will miss you. Thank you for being such a kind, loving, and sincere friend.
Thank you all again for coming and helping us pay tribute and honor a truly priceless, dear, dear man, extraordinary man with the biggest heart. And at this time, we're going to play his final song, Exodus.
turkey there too? Oh, okay. What do y'all like to get?
We have a good one in our town.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We usually go at night and get the prime rib.
Oh.
It's real good. And a lot of times they'll do it for
We
two.
didn't know that. We're like prime rib. We've got